Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast of YarninBlak. Just before I do start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm calling in from. I'm here in Bourne Q on the land of the Wurundjeri people. I'd like to pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Hi guys, welcome to today. I'm so excited. I've got a great friend on, Ursula. I'll introduce you to Ursula in a second. Actually, no, I'll introduce you to her right now. Ursula, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Now, I know who you are, but my guests don't know who you are. So who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Ursula Yovich. I'm a performing artist, so I do, a lot of theatrical acting, but also film, television. I'm a singer-songwriter, dabbled a little bit in directing. I'm a Brada woman from Northwest Arnhem Land. I grew up in Darwin and a little bit in Maningrida.
Yep. So where are you living now?
I am on Eora Gadigal country. So Sydney, for folks who don't know that. Um, and I've been here for like 28 years. Um,
Yep. So what got you to move from Darwin to Sydney?
so I didn't move straight away from Darwin to Sydney. I actually moved over to Perth in '96 because Michael Leslie set up this school, which was like a certificate 3 in performing arts, and it was through Edith Cowan University, and it was a performing arts certificate 3 kind of course, which then went on to become ACPA, the Aboriginal Centre of Performing Arts. So I was one of the earlier students, along some other really wonderful actors. But yeah, I went over there to study for the year, and then I moved over from there to Sydney when I got my first gig at Belvoir Street Theatre in Sydney. And then I just kind of did a lot of back and forth between Sydney and home in Darwin for the first few years. But yeah, I moved over because those kind of opportunities weren't really open in a smaller city like Darwin. So I had to make the move.
Yep. So when you're living in Darwin, did you finish year 12?
Oh God, I'm so embarrassed about this. No, I didn't. I got through year 11. I actually found it really hard. I mean, school was difficult, and now I understand why, because I mean I've actually been diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah. Yep.
um, that explains a lot.
Yep.
But I never finished year 12 because I had a lot of family stuff that was going on, and it was hard to kind of juggle all of that. But I was, look, I was just really fortunate to have another opportunity come up. I I would like to go back and finish my HSC
Yep.
at some point, um, but I do have an honorary master's degree through NIDA, the National Institute of Dramatic Arts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when did you decide that you wanted to become an actor or get into entertainment?
So the acting for me was something that I kind of grew into and grew to love, but I always wanted to be a singer. That was my from as that was my dream from as far back as I can remember. I was actually yarning with an old kindergarten friend, mind you, kindergarten from Darwin.
Yeah.
She happened to be in Melbourne. This was a number of years ago, and we caught up, and she said to me, "I remember the first time I met you, and you were just like, I'm going to be a singer." And I don't remember saying that. She goes, but that was the thing that stuck in her mind, because that was something that I knew I wanted to do from way back when. So, yeah, I've always wanted to be a singer. And then I kind of didn't pursue that because I fell into the acting world, the theatre world. And now I'm lucky because I have both and I get to enjoy them both.
Yeah. Now you've been in a number of productions. What was your favorite production or do you have one?
Yeah, wow. The productions that I really love are generally like ensemble pieces. So the last one that I did was called the Lewis Trilogy, and that was here in Sydney at the Griffin Theatre Company, and it was 3 plays, and I got to play, different characters, and I enjoyed that because it was a big cast, this wonderful ensemble team, and being able to play character. Um, sorry, being able to play like really different characters, and I feel like I'm more of a character actor as opposed to a lead. or I enjoy the characters, the character acting a lot more. But yeah, ensemble pieces. So the Lewis trilogy, Love and Information, which I did many years ago, which is part of I think that was with the Sydney Theatre Company and Malthouse Theatre in Melbourne there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And I recently saw you in The Black Woman of Gippsland.
Yes.
Which was absolutely amazing.
It was stunning. It was so beautiful. And I was really very excited to be back on stage with countrymen, because I've had the opportunity of working with a lot of non-Indigenous performers, which is great for me. I get to kind of delve into other stories that aren't specific to our mob. But then every now and again, it's just so good to reconnect with your mob and tell stories that are, important to tell. And yeah, The Black Woman of Gippsland was an amazing piece.
Yeah. So when you first went to Perth, I'm just going to just jump back there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
To compare to now, are there more roles out there for Black performers?
I would like to think that it's definitely improved. There are a lot more of us writing and creating our own shows. A lot more of us out there producing and directing. So I think we're slowly growing that industry, the Black industry. I still think we're a little bit more behind. That's what I think personally, but
Yeah.
I think we're moving in the right direction. And as long as we continue on in that direction, then, can only hope for amazing things. But there are definitely much better roles, a lot more nuanced, a lot more complex, that are out there.
Yeah. What I'm seeing a lot more of is a lot more truth telling in the stories.
Yes.
And not being afraid to actually put it out there for people to actually be confronted, to be, shocked a little bit, but it's not shocking from a Black person's perspective, but it is shocking from a non-Indigenous perspective.
Yeah. Look, I think any kind of truth telling will always be shocking to, the people who aren't living through
Yeah.
that, or understand it on a logical and intellectual level. But, this truth telling isn't just, it's facts as well, but we're also, we really place things in humanity and, what it means to be human. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot of truth telling out there now, and it's going to be there for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're at school, how much Aboriginal studies did you learn at school, if any?
I don't think I learned anything. Yeah, I mean, my most vivid memory is in primary school, and it was an RI in religious instruction, mind you.
Yeah.
And this one particular day, they had all us kids sat watching barbecue area. I don't. Do you remember barbecue area with Uncle
Yep.
Bob Maza and
Yep.
it was it was this kind of um, they kind of flipped the script of colonization so that then it was these black people arrived to the barbecue area and the white people are there you know barbecuing their sausages and whatever, and then it just kind of explained colonization um, in a really clever and comedic way. And of course, me being in primary school and probably, there was a few black kids in that class. I grew up in Darwin, so there was a lot of, Aboriginal kids in my school. But I remember the kids turning around, like the non-black kids turning around and just looking at me differently, like I was the colonizer. Because we're watching something that was just out of context. No one explained what it was, and I remember getting into a fight that afternoon too with one of the girls. And but yeah, that was probably the only introduction when I was younger, and I didn't get to learn about that stuff until I left Darwin. I left and I went to Perth, and I got to mix with other mob from Queensland. They're from WA, New South Wales mob, like mob from all over the country were there to study, and I got to learn different stories, and most important was how different culturally we were as well. Like similarities, but the differences as well, and just going, oh yeah, okay, I'm understanding this. And then when I moved to Sydney and started working a lot more in theatre, and that's why I really believe theatre is important, because that's where I learnt Aboriginal history. That's where I learnt about our mob and what actually truly happened. Because prior to that, they, I didn't know. And had I not left and pursued this craft, I would probably be ignorant and not know now, even now to this day.
Yeah. So I know you also do a lot of directing. What's it like being on one side of the camera or one side of the stage and then being on the other?
I definitely wouldn't be able to direct had I not started doing acting.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've learnt, a lot about like human nature. There are unwritten I guess feelings and emotions, things that don't always show in words. I've learnt through performing and watching, other actors who have been around longer than me and learning through them. So I feel like the directing, which is something that I'm just kind of dabbling in and just beginning in that area, that had I not had my acting background, I don't think I would find the nuances in, the interactions between people and just the human psyche. It's so interesting. It's one of the things I'm so interested in when I'm working on a new piece. If I'm writing something, or if I'm in a room with a new Australian work, I enjoy characters and how they interact with each other, and what drives a person. So look, I think it's kind of the same thing. It's the same coin, I guess. It's yeah. I enjoy both sides. I'm obviously a lot more comfortable acting.
Yeah.
At one point in my life I wasn't. So
Do you have any role models, or had any role models that you looked up to?
oh man, look, growing up, my father was my greatest role model. Um, but when I left, I started to, look at the women in my life, people like Elaine Crombie, who, I've known her for such a long time. We've worked together, but we're also friends. Um, God, I'm trying to think now. Rachel Maza was one, like, who made me realize that I can still do what I want to do, even if I have a family. Like, I was watching her do what she was doing, and she had Ari, and he was with her all the time, and yeah, they're just women in my life that I've kind of met throughout my career, and I've been able to look up to. Leah Purcell, she's just like, I love that she's just no nonsense, and what you see is what you get, and she's extremely passionate and intelligent, and one of the most hardest working, Black women in this industry. um yeah, I mean, there's way too many. I can name them all and then start telling you why I really love them. But yeah, and it's always the Black women for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I also know that you've won some awards as well. I've done a
Yeah.
little bit of research. So you've won 3 Helpman Awards.
Yes.
Yep. And my understanding is one's for Best Female Actor in a Play in 2007.
Yes, that was for Capricornia.
Yeah, and Best Female Actor in a Musical.
Yes.
And Best Original Score.
Best original score and best musical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the 4. So those 3 were for Barbara and the Camp Dogs. One was Capricornia, which was a play that Wesley Enoch directed back in 2007, I think, or 2006. Yeah, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed.
Yeah. For people that don't know what the Helpman Awards are, what are the Helpman Awards?
The Robert Helpman was a very famous Australian actor. So they're kind of like just trying to think of what the equivalent of our Helpmans are. Like theatre awards. I'm trying to think. Is it the Tonys? Is it Tonys theatre? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Tony is the theatre.
Is that for theatre? That's the British. Yeah. So it's kind of
American.
like that. And they're it's peer reviewed, so it's not a popularity contest or anything like that.
Yeah.
People within the industry vote, and yeah, those particular awards mean a lot to me.
Yeah. So you got a little collection there now, like.
Yeah, well, they're all over the place. When I have my own place, I'm moving back to Darwin. I'll have a nice little, display cabinet, I think. At the moment, they just sit with the books.
So have you ever wanted to go overseas, and have you ever had that Hollywood dream? Or Broadway?
No, not so much Broadway. I mean, I've always wanted to, excuse me, do film. I think it was more of a dream as opposed to something that I desperately wanted to do. What I do love, and I think it's something that really kind of overtakes most of the stuff that I do, is working on new plays or working on new scripts, whether they be theatre, film, or television. That's becoming like a really big driving force for me. I think I may have wanted that when I was younger, but not necessarily even a big Hollywood actor. I never saw myself in that way. But I would love to have an Oscar one day.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Again, it's I feel like I have to kind of work towards and work along the lines of what I love and what I enjoy and what inspires me, as opposed to going, that's what I want and going for it for, you know, any means, by any means necessary. I can't, I don't know if I could function in that way.
Yeah.
Because I would lose interest, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's probably a lot of young people watching these podcasts as well that go, I'd like to get into acting. What advice would you give young black fellas that want to get into the industry?
I mean, I could speak to what my experience was. Growing up in Darwin, there wasn't much. But, you know, I think find out if you're a young person in your teens, find out if there is a youth theatre, you know, company, or a small company that puts together plays, and get some experience through that. Really do your homework on the national school. So I know we've got NIDA that you can, you know, go to different universities that, you know, focusing on performing arts and the arts. Yeah, so I think it would, for me, I would just say small steps. Take find out if there are any local theatre productions going on, audition for them, read read as much as you can, and yeah, look up different courses that you can do in your area, and then extend that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've lost the picture. I'm not sure what's happened. Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
We're back. We heard all that, so I can edit that bit there.
Awesome. I was like, oh no, I must have accidentally pressed it.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I'm going to move on to other questions, but I've got another question just about, you think, is there any role that you didn't take that you would have loved to have had? And that's in theatre or TV or movies.
No, I don't think so. There's nothing that kind of stands out where I go, I wish I would have done that. Mind you, having said that, in my very early career, I said yes to a lot of things because it was about building my reputation up, and it was about getting as much experience as possible. So sometimes, you know, things might not have been right, but they were right for the time, you know, they were right in order for me to continue on and get myself seen. So, yeah, but nothing kind of stands out where I think, I wish I didn't let that one get away from me.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy and content with where I am in my career at the moment. So, yeah.
And I know that you've got a daughter.
Yes.
And what has she moved into acting or entertainment at all?
She's showing a little bit of interest in that world. She is with my agency at the moment. She's she'll be 17 this month. She's come in. She's heard her name. She's heard that I'm talking about her, so she's just looking at me. And she has a little bit of an interest in it. Although I think what's really driving her is, and she keeps talking about, after her gap year, she wants to go to afters, because she wants to get into directing. And I've said to her, have a go at it all. Have a go at everything. So do a little bit of acting, do a little bit of, you know, music, singing, production, because she does that stuff. So she has a dabble in everything, and then just find the thing that actually speaks to you and what excites you. Because, I mean, we're both ADHD. If we're not getting that dopamine hit, we don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to do that because that's boring. Like, which is why I love, you know, the creative side, like actually creating something. I enjoy performing, but not as much as the creation. But she's the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a couple of other questions. One
Yeah.
is around the terms that we get thrown around, like reconciliation is a big term.
Mhm.
What does reconciliation mean to you?
Look, I kind of, I've been doing what I do for about 28 years. And then I look at others who have been doing this for much longer. And then I take that out into, the wider community. I'm working in healthcare, I'm working in, the schools. And I understand why there's an importance to it, but I also, what are we reconciling? Because I sometimes feel like that reconciliation needs to come from the others and not necessarily us, because we understand our history, we understand what's happening and what continues to happen. The people who don't are, generally the wider population. So I think it's, at the moment, it feels like, a meeting of two minds. Like, it'd be great for us to meet together, but I do feel like maybe it's not the right term anymore, because we're always coming to the table, as a people, and we're always meeting people halfway, but they're never coming. They just, yeah, it's frustrating, after 28 years to see that there's very little improvement. I mean, there's improvement, but still so incredibly slow and so incredibly, um, yeah, I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about,
Yeah, that's
that word. And it may change again for me, like, we're all growing, we're all constantly evolving. That was something I so believed in as a young person, you know, reconciliation of, all peoples,
yeah,
you know, with us, but also the frustration when you're around for a bit and
yeah,
seeing how things move. It's yeah.
yeah. Another big buzzword that's around is cultural safety.
Hmm.
What, when you go to an organization, whether it's a health service or into a workplace, what makes you feel culturally safe?
Um, it's a strange one, because I think I've masked my whole life. So I don't think I've ever felt culturally safe,
Yeah,
except when I'm actually working with mob.
yeah,
Um, I think cultural safety should, one of the I mean, an example I can give you is, like, I just recently worked on the black woman of Gippsland, and one of the young dancers, and I just loved him. He was able to just say, "This is what we need. This is what, mob need," and he was always speaking on behalf of, mob, and the room never once was like, "Shush, shush. What are you talking about?" So that's like an example of what I think is cultural safety within the world that I work in,
yeah,
um, of being able to just allowing us to speak in that space, and then having an open dialogue and being respectful, um, of what mob need, what we need. Um, and a lot of those conversations were around, how do we get more mob, into the theatre, because it's not a it's not a cheap thing, it's not. And when you work with, a company, that's willing to kind of sit down and listen, and them explain their side, and then you explain your side, and then coming to some kind of understanding, or something to work towards for the future, that's like a cultural safety. And I guess, you know, like in health, if you speak another language, to have translators, to have, yeah, all of that available, I guess. And just understanding that sometimes us, you know, countrymen, we just do things slightly different. And my daughter's come to harass me.
Yeah.
She wants her charger.
It's better than wanting money.
Oh, yeah. She'll ask me for that later on, don't you worry. Yeah, so I think it's such a massive thing, but it's allowing us to be able to speak without being judged, about what it is that we need within our workspaces. So we could, you know, for want of a better word, like words, close the gap.
Yeah.
You know, like it's and how can we bring in some of our cultural knowledge and background into a Western way of doing things, I guess. I don't know if I'm making any sense anymore now. I'm going to hush.
It sounds really good. I'm just watching the time. I'm just watching the time because I know that.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
We're trying to stay on track. But I'm going to ask you, what have you got any future plans? What's your future plans? Anything coming up that people should be aware of?
Oh wow. Oh yeah. Top End Bub. That's coming out soon. Later on this month through Amazon Prime.
Yep.
If you get a chance to watch it, it's like, I guess it's like a sequel to Top End Wedding.
Yep.
It's a television series, and it's, you know, written by the beautiful Miranda Tapsell, starring Miranda, and directed also by, you know, Shari Sebens.
Oh wow.
It's a yeah, it's a beautiful comedy, feel good, very heartfelt television series. I'm actually really proud of it because I got to see a couple of those scenes and I thought, oh yeah, we're doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for hanging with me for the last half an hour.
No, thank you.
You know, I love the work that you do, and
Thank
so
you.
glad you could come onto our podcast today.
No, I'm so glad. I'm so glad I could be here. Thank you so much, AJ. I appreciate you, you know, wanting to have a little bit of a yarn. And don't give me the mic too long because I can talk that leg off that chair over there. True God.
That's
But,
okay. I'll get you back. I'll get you back on for another episode.
For sure. Thank you.
So, guys, I want to say thank you for joining us, and I want to thank Ursula very much for joining us as well. So, thanks, Ursula.
Thank you. See ya. Bye.